So today we have a passage 3, so let's get started. So this is our passage. How should reading be taught? As always, what I do in the beginning is, that's very important. You should read the title and preferably one or two paragraphs as well. One or two paragraphs to get the idea of what's going on. You should know what's going on, what's going to happen. Some students rush and they are so desperate to read the options. I kind of do the opposite. Prioritize the reading passage itself, understanding, make it interesting for yourself. Then it's going to be fine. So how should reading be taught? Just think about it. How should reading be taught, actually? We are doing reading, literally. So let's see what it says. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. By keys, whatever. Learning to speak is automatic for almost all children, but learning to read requires elaborate instruction and conscious effort. Well aware of the difficulties, educators have given a great deal of thought to how they can best help children learn to read. No single method has triumphed. Indeed, heated arguments about the most appropriate form of reading instruction continue to paralyze the teaching community. Now, paralyze is a very good word, by the way, so it's good to know, paralyze. Paralyze means it's more like divide the society, divide people and society. That's what you call paralyzed. That's a very good word for speaking as well. So we are kind of divided, and there is no single method. Mhm. We have headings, by the way, so you should be careful when reading. Why B paragraph is so big? And D2. I mean, why paragraphs are so kind of disorganized, I would say. Yeah, whatever. So let's read B2. Mhm. There are general approaches. Three general approaches have been tried. So three general approaches. So we have in one, called whole word instruction. Children learn by rote. Rote knowing. I think I have heard this. To recognize at a glance a vocabulary of 1,500 words, and they gradually acquire other words, whatever. Speakers of most languages learn the relationship between letters and sounds associated with them. That is, children are taught how to use their knowledge of the alphabet to sound out words. This procedure constitutes a second approach to teaching reading phonics. Now, many schools have different approach. The whole language method. Okay, this is the second method. That's what we have. That's what's interesting. The strategy here relies on the children's experience with the language. For example, so now we are reading example sentence. As I mentioned it in our previous videos, I guess, you have to know the function. And here we are reading an example. It's kind of important, I guess. Here we are reading an example. Students are offered engaging books and are encouraged to guess the words that they do not know by considering the context of the sentence, by looking for clues in the storyline and illustrations rather than trying to sound them out. Many teachers adopt the whole language approach because whole language approach. Whole language approach means this approach was adopted by many teachers. Why? Intuitive appeal, making reading fun, promising, keep children motivated. And learning will depend more on students. Whole language approach in student will make confirm promising children depends on more student does than on what the teacher does. The presumed benefit of the whole language instruction from trust. So kind of they are moving away from phonics, but the question is, I didn't read three general approaches. I read whole world approach, whole language approach. But where is the third? What is the third one? Have I read that? Hmm. They said three, but they didn't give three. I think we don't have three methods. That's very interesting. That's kind of interesting. The writer said there are three methods, but didn't give three methods. Or am I crazy? Okay. However, many linguists and psychologists objected strongly to the abandonment of phonics in American schools. Okay, so the thing with reading passage three is that some idea will be given and some people will object it, and there will be some fight going on here. Why was it so? In short, because research had clearly demonstrated that understanding how letters relate to composed sound is logic critical important in reading. It's kind of we are at the point when we get confused because C paragraph is more confusing than previous paragraphs. To avoid that, be focused on the main topic. How should reading be taught, and think about that. That might help. Uh-huh. Okay. This conclusion, whatever conclusion, rests in part on knowledge how experienced readers make sense of words in page. Advocates of whole language instruction have argued, okay, so people are arguing, okay, this is very classic reading passage three, no way. Forceful is that people often derive managing directly from print without ever determining the sound of the word. Some psychologists today accept this view, but most believe that reading typically a process of rapidly sounding out words mentally. Compelling evidence for this, which means previous sentence. Okay, these, they were so many references. Comes from experiments which show that subjects often confuse homophones. Well, what is homophones? Words that sound same. This supports the idea that the reader converts string of letters to sound. Well, so many things going on. Some people are arguing. I don't even care what they are doing. All we need is the answers. So that's it. Mm, So this paragraph is about, it says number of experiments were carried out, which means it's going to be about experiments. I don't think we should keep going. That's quite enough, I guess. So let's try to answer a couple of questions. Uh-huh. What's going on? What have I read? Let's what have I read? Just in case. In paragraph A, I read there are still debates. It started as a debate. In paragraph B, there were given three kind of methods that nobody really understood what's going on. And the paragraph C is mentioning how everyone is at odds with each other. So let's go to the options. It's heatings. Mm-hmm. Paragraph A, we have the answer. A debate among the educators. Yes, as I said, paralyzed means divided. The grammar structures are also not really easy, if you ask me. So let's divide the screen. Let's divide it into horizontally, I guess. Yeah, it's much more logical division. Mhm. So, we have the answer for paragraph A, which is debate. So we can kind of highlight it fully, which means we don't choose this. For B, let's read the options. Right? Disagreement about the reading process. I don't think anyone is disagreeing in paragraph B, right? Nobody's kind of disagreeing. It's kind of going well, right? Root of the debate. Well, is it the root of debate? I don't think that's a good answer. Combined approach, methods of teaching reading. Number 4 is a good answer. Yes, there are methods of teaching reading. Controversial approach. A controversial approach? No, not really, because we have 3 approaches. So that's why I don't think it's a good answer. Inconclusive research? Not really. No research. The research with learners? No. Allowing teachers more control? No. I think this is very good answer. Methods of teaching. Do we have? So now let's test this. Do we have methods? Yes, there are 3 methods. It says 3, but it gave 2, or I didn't understand what's going on. Teaching reading? Yes. Now, root of the debate? I don't think it's kind of root of the debate. There is no debate in the first place. So number 4 is a good answer. I think, although the passage is difficult, the way answers are given, quite simple. So number 4 is a good option. We might change this, but let's see. What was C? C was, in the C paragraph, we were given an actual debate. So let's look at C. And because the questions were headings, I decided not to look at them and just start reading. They are arguing over those given 2 methods. So disagreement about reading process. There is disagreement. So the whole paragraph is negative. I don't think it's the root of the problem, because the problem, like the things are given in the B. So combined, no one is combined. No, combined approach is kind of very good thing. So controversial approach. A approach. No, we have a couple of things going on. So we can choose that. Inconclusive research, no. Research with learners, no. Allowing teachers more control, no. It should be something negative. People are literally fighting here, according to my visualization. So number 1 is a good answer, because do we have disagreement? Yes, it's about whole language and phonics. Reading process? Yes. And we have advocates of whole language, which means like supporters. They say certain things, but most believe this thing, some believe this thing, and even more craziness going on here. So number 1 is kind of good answer. We might change this later, but it's kind of going on. True, false. The whole language approach relates letters to sounds. Letters to sounds. Where is the answer? That's okay. Many educators believe the whole language approach. So we have the answers in B paragraph. Okay. Adopt a different approach. What's the approach? Relies on child's experience with language. For example, students are offered engaging books. Guess the word that they do not know by considering the context sentence, by looking at the clues in the storyline, rather than trying to sound them. So it's saying the exactly opposite. It says rather than try to sound them. You don't sound those things. This is paragraph B. In whole language means you guess the word from the context. So because we are doing language thing right now, it's kind of getting easier to understand. So the answer for number 6 is here, and it's clearly false. It's given here. It says words to sound. We don't sound in whole language, right? It's a thing. Sound out words is another method that was given in paragraph B. So how about this? Many educators. I think many educators is here, many teachers. Believe the whole language approach to be most interesting way to teach students to read. Yes, it said intriguing, intuitive appeal. Yes, we got that information. I don't even have to recheck this. It just says in the first line, it just says that. It's exactly that thing. So number 7 is here. Research supports the theory. Research supports the theory that we read without linking words to sound. Okay, I think I have read this. I think yes, because here it said some kind of research. But do we really have research? Compelling evidence for this from experiments for this with this. Some sort of acceptable. Okay, let's understand the question. The question says we understand without sounding in our brain. What I'm doing right now is reading itself, but there is sound in my brain. That's a thing. But the psychologists say today accept this view, but most believes that reading is typically a process of rapid sounding out words. So we sound out. Most believe that we sound out. So it's kind of given here. Most believe that we sound out words. And in the next paragraph, it says mentally, compelling evidence for this. So for this means sounding out. This is the reference. Comes from experiments. Okay, whatever. So yeah, it's giving the exactly opposite thing. It just says, as I said, the answer is kind of, is it even true false or yes, no? It's true false. Interesting. Okay, the research has shown that whole language, whole word approach is less effective than whole language approach. Do we have answers for this one? In teaching community, there are no, not about teaching community. So let's keep going. As you see, I just read the paragraphs and answer. Some experts, reading experts, usually read one paragraph and answer all the questions. It's also a good method, but if you have a little better comprehension, or let's say if you have more time in the IELTS reading, you can do what I'm doing. Just do what's comfortable for you. Because I read a lot of books, I need to get the idea and to get the whole picture before answering the question. So let's look at the paragraph. In order to evaluate different approaches, let's compare. Okay, the research. Firstly, with college students. Let's make it into. Let's forget about questions for now. Okay? Let's put them somewhere here. College students. Then with school pupils. So we have students and pupils. Investigators trained English-speaking college students to read using unfamiliar symbols such as Arabic letters, the phonic approach, while another group learned entire word associated with certain string of Arabic letters, whole word. Then those groups were required to read a new set of words constructed from the original characters. In general, readers who were taught the rules of phonics could read many more new words than those who trained with whole procedure. So in general, the first method, which was kind of whatever related to individual words that you kind of sound, proved to be better, right? Classroom studies comparing phonics with either whole language instruction are also quite illuminating. Wow. One particularly persuasive study compared two programs used in 21st grade classrooms. Half the students were offered traditional reading instructions, which include the use of phonics, drills, and applications. The other half were taught using an individualized method that drew from their experience, whatever. These children produced their own booklet from stories developed toward recognized common component following. This study found that, okay, first group. Okay, now we should find the first group and we're going to get the answer. What is the first group? Half students were offered traditional reading instruction. Okay, so I think it's this group. This group, I think it's this group, yeah. What a beautiful drawing. higher years in the own test reading and comprehension. Right. Should I go EF or ZNR? Can I go F? Now, whether to go or not depends on many things. Right now, I feel very comfortable, so I can go. But if it's not comfortable for you, you can stop and answer the question. If researchers are so convinced about the need for phonics instruction, why does the debate continue? Well, that's a good intro. That's a good topic sentence for E. I loved how it was given. Because the controversy is enmeshed in philosophical differences between traditional and progressive new approaches, differences that have divided educators for years. The progressive challenge the results of laboratory tests and classroom studies on the basis of a broad philosophical skepticism about the value. You know, this paragraph, I know this sentence, what the sentence doing, you know? This sentence is far long and so many things going on in this one sentence. They champion student-centered, learned, and teacher empowerment. Sadly, they fail to realize that these very admirable educational values are equally consistent with the teaching of phonics. You know what? They are arguing about something and they are making us even more confused. You know, just read. Is it so difficult? You know? No, I'm not saying the reading. I mean, like, how should reading be taught? Just read. Is it that difficult? Your brain deals with the rest. So whatever. So many debate. I hate this debate in the first place. Okay, if schools of education insisted, what's going on? Insisted that would-be reading teachers, come on, what's that grammar? If schools of education insisted that would-be reading test teachers learned something about the vast research in linguistics and psychology that bears on reading, their graduates would be more eager to use phonics and would be prepared to do so efficiently. You know, our students would get confused in this sentence, but don't worry. This is conditional second conditionals, because here we have past simple and here we have would be more eager. How do I explain? This is conditional sentence. It's given in such a long way with so many connectors, and don't get confused. It's just conditional sentence. If something this and this would happen, which means it didn't happen. They could allow the pupils to apply the principles of phonics while reading for pleasure. Whatever the phonics is, it's being abandoned in the US, and the writer is arguing does not do it. Using the whole language activities to supplement phonics instruction certainly helps to make reading fun and meaningful for children, so no one would want to see such tools discarded. Indeed, recent work has indicated that combination of literature-based instruction and phonics is more powerful than either method used alone. I'm reading fast. I don't have time. Teachers need to strike a balance. But in doing so, we urge them to remember that reading must be grounded in a firm understanding of a connection between letters and sounds. Educators who deny this reality are neglecting decades of research. They are also neglecting the needs for the. You know, I'm not trying to convince anyone, unlike the writer, but the writer is certainly doing that. So I'm not convinced, okay? Just do what's comfortable. So whatever, let's go back. What was good? What was good? What's going on? What was D? D said, here it's a general who were taught rules of phonics could read many more new. You know, from starting from D and going to E, F, what we are doing in general, we are kind of giving credit to phonics, mentioning the advantages of phonics. That's what I got. The writer is also with that group. Although we are paralyzed, it's giving more and more credits to the method that's being abandoned. You know, if phonics were so good, why would it be abandoned in the first place? So it's kind of against the logic. Do you see how I'm into the topic that I start debating with the things that are given here? So whatever, research has shown that whole world approach is less effective than the whole world approach. Whole world approach is whole world procedure is kind of less effective. But whole word and whole language are two different things related. Is that what it said? Come on, let's see what it said. Everything was given in B. You know, B is whole language and whole word, right? Whole word. So we have two methods. And this phonics, whatever, is another thing. So we have three methods. What confusion? Come on. So what I know is the phonics is better than whole word, but do I know whole language and whole word? Just we don't have anything about whole language. That's the thing, all right? We don't have anything about whole language. So there are three methods you should understand. We have phonics, we have whole word, and whole language. The question is saying comparing these two, whole language and whole word, but the passage is comparing these two, whole word and whole and phonics. So whole language is not here at all. So the answer should be not given, you know. Number 10. Research has shown that phonics is more successful than both whole word. Yeah, phonics is better. It's just said that. This should be good because whole language is here, the whole word or whole language, quite illuminating. All right, so it just says first group which used kind of phonics method was better. I think I analyzed this deep enough to give the answer instantly. It was true. Yeah, as I mentioned it even before answering, they are mentioning the advantages of phonics. We also have heating thing. You see, when you read the passage and spend more, like invest more time in passage, it just saves time that you would otherwise spend for questions. Okay, what are the questions? What's going on here? Let's look at the questions. Okay, section D. D was kind of research. I think it was research. It was research. Disagreement, root, debate. No, it was research, and the research gave results. That's how we got the answers, right? As you can see, I'm doing headings a bit later because once I do true false, it just gives me deeper understanding of the paragraph. So D should be 7. Yes. E. E was more about phonics. The advantages of phonics, I would say. Let's see what's the. Do we have disagreement? No. Combined approach? No. We don't have combined approach, I guess. Like it shouldn't be the answer because nobody's kind of combining anything. Controversial approach. Inconclusive research. Inconclusive research is a good answer here. What's E? What's D? If research convinced the need phonics instruction, why does the debate continue? Because there is skepticism. Teachers are failing to realize something. Teachers more control? No. Research, we've chosen the answer. Inconclusive? No. Disagreement? No. Yeah, it is disagreement, but debate. It's more about debate, yeah. Why does the debate continue? Why? Do we have answer why? Yes, we have answer. Why does it continue? So many disagreements. I think that number 2 is the only answer we have. But the root of debate, it's just answering that question. This is like a root of debate. Yeah, it's just, the way answers are given, they don't look like original. They don't seem original to me. Okay, number F. F was more about, let's use phonics. Phonics is the best one. And if we did, so let's understand this conditional sentence. Would be more eager phonics efficiently. Whole language should also be used. Using whole language, yes. Reading far, so no one would argue tools. indeed or indicate combination of literary instruction phonics more powerful than either method. Use it alone. All right. We literally got the answer, and it is combination. Yep, it's number 2. All right. So these are the answers for headings. I don't have a habit of making mistakes when it comes to headings. Maybe this one is kind of exception, but I hope most of them, if not all of them, are correct. Probably correct because we don't have any other options to choose. Right? So, true, false. We have true, false. We answered all. What's left? Oh, in teaching community. What? You use grammar here and logic. Okay. Question of usefulness research into method teaching reading. These critics believe that even more. Okay. I think the answer is somewhere in the end. This is the end. Balance. Yeah, I think the answer is something here. The ideas of this no. Decades of research. Yes, this is the answer. Educators who deny this reality, neglecting decades of research. Educators who deny are neglecting decades of research. Research studies or interesting. Research studies, decades of research. Something is wrong here. Need to be aware of so they understand the importance of phonics. They shouldn't, however, ignore the ideas of I think the answers are kind of like messed up, but the research studies has to be the answer for they're kind of ignore need to be aware of the understanding of phonics. Must be fair of understanding connection letters and sound indicators who deny this reality are neglecting decades of research. Do not, it should be G. That's what I know. This should be G. What else we have? Number 14. What makes enjoyable? What makes reading enjoyable? I think the answers are kind of messed up here. They're not in the same order. Here, the reading fun and meaningful for children, so no one would want to see such tools discarded. The whole language was more intuitive, as it was mentioned in the paragraph as well. So I think, but yeah, that's what's given. Here it says whole language is more intuitive. In B paragraph, it said intuitive approach, whole language was intuitive. That's one reason. And the another reason it says fun and meaningful. So I think this one, which makes reading fun. What's the next one? Is incompatible with student-centered learning. Okay, critics. We need critics' opinion. Incompatible with the student-centered learning. Incompatible. Incompatible. Now that's actually difficult. Principles of phonics reading for pleasure. Uh-huh. In teaching community, question the someone is questioning. So question is kind of verb here. Questions the usefulness of research into methods of teaching reading. So they are questioning whether it's useful or not. Who are questioning? Who can question something? No one is questioning here. I think it's somewhere here. Philosophical difference between traditional progressive or new approaches. Educators are divided. If we find who are they, that's the answer. All right. If we find who are they, and this stage too. Who are they? They or those. We should know who are they. Because of controversial across the difference between traditional and progressive approach, difference created by educators. I know. Okay, whatever. In teaching community question, okay, educators means teachers, which is linguistics. Linguists would be a good answer. Research studies, no. Progressives, whole language, traditionalists. Traditionalists. Traditionalists are also a good answer. Between traditional and progressive, okay. Traditionalists and progressives, either should be the answer. So critics believe that, okay, maybe number 12 is somewhere here. Critics believe that. Student-centered learning. Okay. They champion student learning and teachers' empowerment. Sadly, they fail to realize this very environment equal to consensus teaching of phonics. So basically saying phonics can do this. That's what it says. Phonics, okay. Linguists, no. Research science, no. Whole word, no. Whole word method. No, it says phonics. It's the answer. That's really the answer. 12 was kind of easy. But number 11, that's an actual challenge, I would say. Okay, so we have teaching community question the usefulness of research into methods of teaching. In teaching community, someone questions the usefulness of research. Who questions? Okay, now you should use advanced skills. This is the 9 question book. The whole debate is phonics, is it useful or not? And until kind of D paragraph, many American teachers are choosing whole language approach, which kind of abandons phonics. And the writer is arguing phonics is better, phonics is better, phonics is better. But lately it's being abandoned, which means it's kind of new thing, abandoning it. So traditionalists, including the writer, says we should keep it, but kind of new teachers say we shouldn't. Who questions here? Progressives should be that one. So basic traditional means old, kind of they think in an old way, and progressives means kind of modernists. So Because of controversy is embashed in philosophical difference between traditional and progressive or new approaches. It just mentioned it was progressive. New approach says, let's abandon phonics. But the old approach says, let's keep it. So questioning the usefulness of research, exactly, that's the thing. So I think if I have to choose D and E, I would choose E because the problem comes from those people. Traditionalists say, let's keep it as usual, and progressives say, let's abandon it. I just used a little bit of logic and what's going on in the whole reading test. I hope you understood all the questions. I didn't really like this 11. It was a bit difficult. Other than that, it was quite simple, I guess. Yeah, that's it. That was reading passage 3. Because it was reading passage 3, maybe it was a bit more confusing. But do I find the passage interesting? One word, no. So see you in the next video.